Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Learn with Kunjan. So continuing our talks on data and modernization, today we are going to focus on infrastructure modernization. And if you are wondering why modernization of any kind, there is a video already out there talking about why infrastructure or application or data modernization. So check that out. Okay, so infrastructure modernization, whenever we say that, it means for most of the applications moving to the cloud or most of the organizations doing their cloud journeys. And why? Because what they get in their data centers is compute, storage, and networking. And all those aspects can actually be achieved in cloud more efficiently with lesser cost. And that's the reason why most of the applications and organizations want to move to the cloud. Also, there is more AI ML algorithms and models which are already available in cloud for you to ready-made use. So that makes your AI ML journey faster and easier. That's another reason. And you want to focus on building your application. You want to focus on your data, not maintaining your infrastructure. That's the reason and the drive for move to the cloud. So I'll give you a quick peek on how the data centers look like for most of the organizations. Essentially, it's racks and racks of, you see the machines, and these machines essentially are providing the storage, the compute, and the connecting wires that you see out there. That is really the networking aspect to it. Okay, and as most of the applications or the organizations, they are on their journey going to the cloud, what that really means, what are the considerations for it, that's what we are going to capture now. All right. So just a quick recap, we want to do more, we want to do with lesser number of resources, so high performance, lesser cost, and we want to do it scale across multiple people, multiple geographical locations, and want to provide the services with reliability. Those are the drivers why we want to go for any of the cloud migrations. Now, I will tell you about how to think of the different deployment models which are available. Technical terms are infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. But I'll walk you through an example. Like you have a car, right? So you own that car. That's your responsibility, and you can go to it whenever you want. It's yours to have. So that's on-premise, like having your on-premise infrastructure. You are responsible for oil changes, which is basically, I'm saying, if a new operating system version comes up, you see on your Windows, the next version is available, ready for upgrade. So that kind of thing, you are responsible for vulnerability management on your OS and then you have to maintain your applications vulnerability, their patching, all that aspects you are responsible for. Now, I will take a step back because I said a lot of things, because I talked about infrastructure, I talked about applications, which is a lot, right? Now I will take a small thinking just from the infra aspect, okay? Because considering the owning the car with the on-premise, right? Next aspect is, if you don't want to own the car for the whole life of it, but you just want to have it, lease it for a couple of years. That's infrastructure as a service. So you get that car, but you during the time you are leasing the car, you're still responsible for oil changes, which I'm saying is equivalent to your OS upgrades, okay? Next is the platform as a service. Like if you want to take Uber, and you can tell you want to go from point A to point B, you get your source and the destination, and Uber takes you there, and you are not responsible for oil changes, which is equivalent to what I said, the operating system upgrades, right? Okay, last is the software as a service. Like you take a bus. So like you are watching this video right now. So this video is very much where I'm using software as a service. YouTube is hosting this video. I'm not responsible for when YouTube does the upgrades or does the patching on its operating system, whether it is running on Linux or Unix. I don't have to worry about any of that, because what I'm using, I'm just taking a bus wherever YouTube actually, or the Google essentially maintains all the infra for it, maintains the underlying compute and storage for my purposes, okay? And now to give all these terms that we talked about in more computer science way, this is the diagram that you usually see when you talk about on-premise versus infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. So as you see on the right-hand side here, like in my case, everything's maintained by Google for this particular video. If I'm doing responsible for and only the application and data, that's where platform as a service. Like the example we did in the previous slide, it's basically like taking the Uber, right? So that's, I'm responsible for application and data, but I don't have to worry about oil changes on that. Going back, infrastructure as a service, leasing the car, basically, like I am responsible for OS patching. If there is a new upgrade coming, I'm responsible for that. If there are new vulnerabilities, I am responsible for that. So that's infrastructure as a service. And on-premise aspect is when I'm responsible for everything end-to-end owning a car. Now, whenever we talk about cloud, it's AWS or Microsoft Azure, or we talk about GCP, Google Cloud Platform, right? All of these are public cloud providers. But that's not the only option. If you want to have something like really, I want to build my own cloud, go ahead and build that cloud. You can build that using Cloud Foundry. Or you can say, okay, I don't want to do anything with the cloud and I want to stay on premise. That's another option. Now, but if you decide to go on, you decide to go for cloud options, then you are talking about private cloud. If you want to build the whole VPCs and different, you have your own infrastructure, your storage, your networking, your compute. If you want to do all that work in your own organization, you can do that using the private cloud, using Cloud Foundry. Or you can go public, using GCP, Azure, AWS. Or you can say, you know what, there are some pieces of my data which I cannot host on AWS cloud or any other cloud providers. I am because of the regulations and compliance reasons. So I hold them in my private cloud, and the aspects of the systems which I can actually put in a public cloud, I use that public. So if I use both the approaches, that's what is called as the hybrid. Means I'm using private cloud for the things like if I have some secret sensitive data and I do not want to put it anywhere else, that's my private cloud. I use public cloud so that I can use the capability of faster AI and ML or the latest SageMaker in AWS case, the models. So then I want to go hybrid in that case. All right, okay. So this was, we talked about from infra perspective. Now, if we think from the application side of it, what happens to the applications, right? So now, okay, step back. When I'm saying application, what I'm really saying is you have a data store, you have a service layer, which is usually called as middle tier, and you have a front end to host that front end to interact with the users. That's one usual aspect to the applications I would put. And now what you can do is like take your complete application and host it on cloud. So that's one way of doing the things. That's called as lift and shift. It's least work because you're just pretty much using the infrastructure capabilities of the cloud, or you're just doing the infrastructure aspect. So that's the rehost, lift and shift. But you know what? Things have changed, things have improved and evolved. So if you have on-prem Oracle, which usually for the relational data stores many organizations have, and you want to take it to AWS, instead of really building Oracle images and using that, instead you can migrate to RDS, which will give you very much the equivalent performance aspect to it. So that's called as re-platforming. Instead of using Oracle on-prem, you are now using RDS. Or you can say, okay, if I have certain aspects which is log specific, like log analytics, if I want to run, then I want to run Elasticsearch. So that kind of aspects, like some pieces of your application, you stay re-platforming, right? Like instead of Oracle, you want to go to RDS, or if you have some log, if you are using Splunk on-prem, you would use Elasticsearch. So like these little pieces movement, that's your re-platform, because as you are moving, you are improving. Okay, so that's about the re-platform. Or you can say, you know what, I want to just use each and every capability that cloud has to offer in terms of elasticity, flexibility, pay-as-you-go model. So if I want to use all the capabilities, I can't take my monolith where my infra, where my database and my middle tier and the front end all are tied up together. I cannot take this huge big monolith and take it to cloud. What I do, I chunk it and put it in the microservices. I create domain-based microservices, each with its own data store kind aspects. We'll have a session coming on monolith to microservices, which will be part of application modernization. But for if we are doing that level of work, which is the most involved work, that will be called as refactoring, because you are redesigning your application all from the converting it from monolith to microservices. All right. So what we talked about, like if you want to go from on-prem to cloud, essentially the infrastructure modernization, whether you want to stay in your private cloud or public cloud. So these are the 7 steps you would think of, which you pretty much kind of covered, like what should be your strategy, which aspects should be infrastructure as a service or platform as a service or software as a service. And if you go that route, then how much work you want to put in. You want to put in the work just for lift and shift, you want to improve as you move, or you want to redesign your application, refactor a really a strong refactoring, taking it from monolith to microservices. So stay tuned for application modernization coming up next, and keep learning. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and learn with Gunjan. Bye.